Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and I'm going to get to the two top topics in a minute, which will be Gaynor Lord, who went missing in the UK, and Kathleen Folbig, who just got fully not only pardoned, but her the four murders she was accused of and convicted of squashed, and now she's probably in for a big payday. So, and people are cheering that she no longer is Australia's worst serial killer, killer of four children, her own, but now she is seen to be an innocent woman. So I'm going to talk about those two cases first, but before I start, I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room. This is a hangout. We've got lots of folks here chatting about all kinds of things. And if you'd like to be in the chat room, please do go to the link below in the description. Click on it for Patreon and join. It's $5 a month, and you can come to our 8 of the shows. That the chat part of it, 4 hangouts and 4 case shows a month. And of course, if you don't want to do that, every one of my shows is public. You can just go to YouTube and see anything I've ever put up. But please do subscribe to the channel. That helps keep the channel going. Like, and also hit the bell for notifications at YouTube. And put anything you're interested in into the YouTube search engine, Profiler Pat Brown and the case, and see if I've already done it, or check my playlist, because there's a lot of cases there. All right. I want to welcome everybody who is in the chat room. And there's a lot of discussions going on about, especially the Kathleen Folbig case. I don't know, I could say hello to everybody, but my gosh, there's a lot of folks here. Sarah's here, Clarissa's here, Kathy's here, Beverly's here, Mary is here. Let's see, Benny is coming in from Denmark, staying up late. Sylvain is here. And if I pronounce your name wrong, I apologize. Beverly is here. Charlotte's here. Kez Chick is here. Let's see, who else is here? Jill is here. This is where I start missing people. Did I say Lex is here yet? Because everybody's chit-chatting. So, I can't always see everybody's name as I go through. But so Olga is here. Michaela is here. Hey, who else is here? Oh my goodness, this is a big group of people tonight. Gosh. All right. If you're new here, welcome. If I'm missing your name and you're new here, welcome to your first time here. I've done Bluebell is here too. Now I've lost where I'm at. But I just wanted to say hello. I'm a little late getting here usually I talk to people before the show, but I'm feeling a wee bit nauseous, not feeling so great. And I think the people here are good analysts and good detectives. So I'll let you tell me what you think happened. So yesterday I went to a party, an art party, celebrating, the Christmas season. And we all had to bring something. So being a person who didn't really want to bother to do much work, I just picked up a big bag of tortilla chips from the local 7-Eleven. And I brought that to the party, but apparently other people who are lazy also did the same. And so when the party ended, my bag of chips hadn't even been touched, and they told us to take it home. And so I did. And I thought, okay, well, this is great. My granddaughter lives next door. She'll be coming over. We're doing a puzzle together, and she'll eat a lot of these. And she didn't come over. But today I discovered that the bag was entirely gone, like missing. I don't know if the cleaning ladies accidentally threw it out, but I feel really sick. So what do you all think? Yeah. Food poisoning. Vile what? Too many hands in the bowl. Oh God, I feel really crappy. And I've been doing so well trying to eat healthy, but yeah, that's pretty much it, Jill. I'm going to say there's no proof of that because there's no cameras in the house, and the bag is gone, and you can't check it for fingerprints and DNA. But I'm going to say, yeah, probably ballerina. Yeah, it's probably in my stomach, which is why I feel like garbage. But okay, enough about me and my stupidity. I don't want to get near that scale for like until January. So let's get to the first thing I want to talk about. And because it's late in the UK and in Denmark, Benny still, I don't know, you can't sleep, Benny, so you're here, which I always love. Gaynor Lord, she is a woman that went missing in Norfolk, England. And what's really annoying about this already is that they're already saying it's another Nicola Bulley case. And if you don't remember the Nicola Bulley case, Nicola Bulley was a woman who went walking her dog in the morning after she dropped her children off at school. And she ended up being found in the river near where she was walking the dog. And the people on the internet went insane. All the grifters and the conspiracy theorists, and it was just abominable. And the police eventually determined that she fell into the river. They believe it was accidental death, and I do too. I don't believe she committed suicide. I believe that the dog was running around. I think she might have been lost her balance with a dog and fell in. And sometimes those things happen, and people don't like to believe it. So they have all these really ridiculous conspiracy theories, which are not supported by evidence. I think we're about to see the same thing with Gaynor Lord. Now, let me tell you the basic story of Gaynor Lord. She's the missing mother of 3. She's 55 years old. She worked at the Gerald department store in Norwich, and she left her workplace early. And this is one of the questions I have. Why did she leave early? Because there was supposedly some claims of unusual behavior, but the reason I'm not going to get into this heavily is because I don't know what they mean by unusual behavior. I don't know, first of all, what her normal behavior was like. And so I don't know what's unusual. It's a peculiar bunch of incidents in a row, and it's going to be something the police need to spend some time trying to figure out. They're doing their investigations. One of the things I don't like to do is 50 videos on a case that's brand new, and every time some piece of information comes out, I jump on it and get people to get all excited and make a lot of money. But, I think that's wrong, because let the police do their job here. And so far, what's happened is that she left work early. She's on CCTV walking toward the cathedral, Norwich Cathedral. And I've seen different versions of this, but I think she went into the cathedral. It seems like 30 minutes was missing. And that could be useful when you're trying to figure out what happened. Why did she stop there if she stopped there for 30 minutes? Is that a normal thing she does, or was something on her mind? All right. And then she left, and then she walked along Queen Street. She was seen in various locations around Norwich until her final CCTV spotting when she was walking up St. Augustine Street at 4:01 p.m. So she's been wandering around for like an hour and 15 minutes. All right. Why is the question? It's not the warmest day out. It's why is she doing this? We do not know. Then what happened is her belongings, including her clothing. And when they say clothing, I don't know what clothing means. All of her clothing, a sweater, what? Clothing, 2 rings, which you think would be on her fingers. And they weren't stolen, obviously, right? A mobile phone and glasses were found scattered in Wensum Park, about 1.5 miles from her workplace. So she went quite a distance to the park. One witness, and again, this is where the police have to do their investigations to find out things are true. They saw her practicing yoga in the park around the time she disappeared, and a friend says she missed 2 of her calls. And supposedly she had taken off her coat and put it on the ground and was doing yoga poses, which it was getting dark and it's cold. And it's kind of odd. Now, I don't know. Maybe she's a yoga freak. Maybe that gives her peace of mind. I don't know. Why is she doing yoga in the park? I don't even know if it was her. Okay, somebody said that. There isn't proof that it was her. So you have to put that aside. If you're the police, you call it interesting. And you try to gather up all the information you can. So, and then they found her coat in the river. Now, it says here, the number of her belongings were scattered in the park next to the river. And here again, what does next to the river actually mean? Does it mean within 1 foot of the river? Does it mean in the park, I don't know, a 2-minute walk from the river? Have no clue. Again, it says clothing. What does clothing mean? Did she strip naked and then put her coat on and then jump in a river? I mean, I don't know what the clothing is. And it says dispersed around the park. Again, how dispersed? We talking all over the place? Are we talking? Yeah, I don't know. If somebody robbed her, you'd think they would have taken the rings and you would have taken the phone, but this doesn't seem to be so. Was she? Some people would say she was raped if her clothing was found there. Is it possible? Who was around at that time? How many people were around at that time? Were there dogs running about who might pick up something and move it someplace? Were there kids around? I don't know. These are all things we don't know. All we know is she's missing for like, how long? This is a week, almost a week now. A coat was found in the river. They assume she's in the river, as they assume Nicola Bulley was in the river. Now they're searching for her in the river. Okay, that's it. That's all I know. I cannot even speculate because I shouldn't, because I have no idea what the evidence actually is or where the evidence was, the exact timetable, the exact statements. I don't know her mental health situation. I have no idea. And therefore, I leave it where it is and let the police do their jobs. What? I missed her name. Her name is Gaynor Lord. Gaynor, Gaynor, Gaynor Lord, Lord. Oh, sorry, I forgot to put the picture up. I was intent on this story. Sorry, I do have a picture. Here she is. There she is on the right, working at, I guess, the store. And there she is walking off in the CCTV. And they're looking in the river. So that's basically it. I guess this is the park and that is the river. And that's basically it. But I wish people would at least allow the police to do their work before they start with crazy conspiracy theories. But I think we're going to see this, because she hasn't been found and because of the Nicola Bulley case, we're going to see a whole lot of nonsense. And I think people need to hold off on the nonsense. No, she looks normal. So do I. Maybe not. Oh, you saw it in your YouTube feed. Oh, everybody's jumping on it. So there's a lot of already a lot of stuff being done on this case. But again, if you're just telling the story as news, I don't have a problem with that. But they're starting with the theorizing things that they know nothing about and don't have enough evidence to theorize with. They simply do not. Yeah, well, it's for clicks and money and it works. Yes. But she seemed really happy from what I saw on TV. Well, where did you see her looking happy? I mean, in the CCTV, we cannot tell what's going on with people in still photos or video. These things are questionable. They really are. Because we just don't know. We don't know enough. We'd have to look at her whole history, her recent history. Is she having issues, or is she not having issues? Because if suddenly she's doing strange things, and you wonder what's going wrong, and you wonder whether it's a case where she decided, well, I've had enough of the world, or whether she is a psychotic issue, or whether she was just wandering around, maybe for whatever reasons, and then she became a victim. I have no idea, but I'm not going to speculate because I don't have any evidence to speculate on. It's just it does look dark in that footage, but I don't know exactly what time it did get dark. But supposedly when she was at the park, and supposedly somebody saw her, they were saying it was kind of odd that she'd be doing yoga at that, because it was either dusk or pretty dark, and she's doing yoga, and it's kind of chilly out there, so it's a bit strange. So when you're saying she looks happy, if I go back and put up a picture of her, I don't know when that picture was taken. That picture could have been taken a year ago. I don't know if that was, is she wearing the clothes she was wearing that day? Is that an actual, I don't know if that was a video from, I don't know. See, that's the thing. We're assuming it's a video, a shot from that day. I don't know if it is. Over on the left, they'd say she was looking oddly. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. And so let's leave it alone for the police to figure out perhaps a little bit more about that. So that's all I could say about that. Now, let me go to Folbig. Folbig is happy. Kathleen Folbig, she is not only a free woman, she's going to be a rich as crap woman. because her convictions were overturned, completely squashed. Not just she wasn't just exonerated; her convictions were squashed. These were the 4 children that died in her care, and I point that out, in her care. And below, if you want to know more about this, I might do something about this tomorrow. Probably not tonight because I don't feel great, but tomorrow I might do something on this. But I wanted to talk about it tonight because I was asked to do this at the Hangout, so I'm going to do it, at least some of it. But below, if you're at the Hangout, you can click. I'm going to put both links to my full big videos. One is my full analysis of the full big case. And then the second one was when she got exonerated by the governor. And I talked about the issue, the supposed scientific evidence of her innocence, or at least not her guilt. So I've already actually gone there completely. I don't have that much to add, except what I'm going to say now and what I might say tomorrow. All right. So as far as Folbig goes, here she is again, in case you don't know what she looks like. There she is, and she's happy. All right. Things have been overturned. I'm going to read the story to you. Catherine Folbig, once described by Australian media as the country's worst female serial killer. And I will say this about that title. I'm glad they got that title correct, because a lot of times when women kill their children, their own children, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is a behavior of psychopathy. All right. It's not, you don't have Munchausen syndrome by proxy. It's just a label for a behavior of psychopathy, which means you harm your children in order to get attention and sometimes kill them to get attention. But if you do that, you're actually a psychopath. And if you kill one child after the other, you're a serial killer. And a lot of times they're not labeled serial killer if they've killed a bunch of their own children. So the label was correct when she was considered guilty. All right. And the most hated woman, she wept to applause. This is where I just want to point out how so many times what we have is a wave of people getting caught up in whatever the media push is, whatever the political push is, and they get all excited and believe 100% in something. That may not necessarily be so, but they're all into it because it gives them a good feeling. This woman's been freed. She's been exonerated. She's finally, she never hurt her children, and now they finally admitted it. Okay, she wept to applause in a courtroom on Thursday upon the overturning of her 2-decade-old convictions over the deaths of her own children, thanks to, and now here's where the stuff starts getting interesting. Some of the way they word this, seemingly exonerating scientific evidence, seemingly exonerating, not exonerating, seemingly exonerating. And there's a lot of the usage of these words, which are actually things like likely, possibly, not proof. And I thought there had to be evidence. Now, some are going to say, well, you have to have evidence to find her guilty. You don't have to have evidence to find her innocent. Well, she was found guilty in a court of law by a jury. And behind the scenes now, they've managed to decide behind the scenes, the governor and a judge and whoever's on her side, defense team, and some people wanting attention or whatever, they've decided that they're going to exonerate her behind the scenes without any proof of anything. They have not proven the prosecution wrong because they never went back to a court of law as an appeal. They're just saying she shouldn't have been convicted. Which is odd. It's an odd method and it's happening in the U.S. too, where things are being overturned behind the scenes, and a lot of times it's political. So seemingly exonerating scientific evidence. She says, for almost a quarter of a century, I faced disbelief and hostility. I suffered abuse in all its forms. I hoped and prayed that one day I'll be able to stand here with my name cleared. I am grateful that updated science and genetics updated. They weren't updated. Somebody found something they could use. Seemingly exonerating scientific stuff. Have given me the answers to how my children died. They gave no answers whatsoever. There's no, these tests did not prove how her children died. These scientific studies did not prove how her children died at all. So that's an absolute falsehood. Her 4 young children died one after another between 1989 and 1999. Caleb, her first child, died suddenly at 19 days old. Her second child died at 8 months old. Her third child died at 10 months old, and her fourth child died at 19 months old. All of these children were below 2 years old, and 3 of them were below 1 year old. Now, that's where it gets very interesting, because there's really zero evidence that these children should have died that young, regardless of their supposed genetic conditions. She was charged with smothering them, was convicted of 3 counts of murder and 1 of manslaughter in a highly publicized trial, including her husband's accusations and her own diary entries that express guilt over her children's successive deaths. Well, they express more than just guilt. Okay, so they were always in her care. 4 children dying in one person's care, and they're saying here now, oh no, that means nothing. What her husband had to say, what her diary said, there was a whole bunch of stuff that got her convicted. She was sentenced to 40 years, which was later reduced to 30, and then she maintained her innocence. But in 2011, a law professor named Emily something, Cunliffe, wrote a book entitled Murder, Medicine, and Motherhood. And then this caused people to have questions about the convictions. In 2018, new evidence was found that Folbig's 2 daughters carried a rare genetic variant that, here come the fancy words, could have led to their deaths. In addition to expert testimony that Laura could have died from myocarditis, a heart inflammation known to result in sudden death. Researchers always found that her sons had different genetic mutations linked to sudden onset epilepsy in mice. All right. The 2 girls had one supposed genetic thing, and I want to read here because I just saw, let me read what was said. But I was very pleased to see this. Bluebell Rose. Hi, Bluebell. You wrote this, and I thought this was very good. I have studied biology and genetics. In Folbig's case, the 2 girls carried the COM2 gene, and the 2 boys carried the BSN gene. A person can be a carrier of a genetic disease. It doesn't mean that the gene will be expressed. It appears the scientists or lawyers were splitting hairs to explain all 4 deaths. Yes, they were. Michaela also says, it's a genetic predisposition doesn't mean they were sick at the time of their death. Also true. Now, what comes down to, and I explained this in my other video, and I'm just going to toss it off here quickly. The girls, all right, in the study that was done, there was, I forgot how many kids that were 170 or something like that. I can't remember now. But supposedly some that had this gene, 1 out of 4 died. 1 out of 4 died of this group. And of course, it's a study. And here's one of the problems of scientific studies. How many scientific studies were done? This one scientific study doesn't mean it's accurate. It doesn't mean that it stands up to other scientific studies. It's one. So, but supposedly, according to this one, 1 out of 4 of the girls died. And the average time of their dying was 6 years old. Now, when we say average, what does that mean? They were all between 5 and 7. They were all between 4 and 8. They were all between 1 and 10. What does it even mean? See, I can't even find the freaking study to prove what that even means. But I can tell you this. What do we hear about the girls here? The girls died when? The girls all died. The 2 girls. Now, mind you, this study had 1 out of 4 girls. So there was only a 25% chance in this study that this gene, if you had it and weren't just carrying it, you truly had this gene thing that was going to do this to you, that only 25% chance. But she had 2 girls and it was 100%. Both of her girls died, not just half of a girl, which would be 25%. Both of the girls died. Now, and they died. Look at the ages that they were when they died. One died at 10 months and the other died at 19 months. The average age was 6 years. Why are they dying so young? And why both of them? All right, those are the girls. Then you go to the boys, which gets really stupid. The boys, remember, this is a mouse study, that there are mice that died of epilepsy. Again, one study, I've looked and looked and looked, find any kind of proof that this study was any good. I don't know all the factors in the study, but supposedly these BSN mice, 1 out of 2 died. Okay. But 2 of her kids died. So again, with the mice, it was 50%. And with her, it was 100%. And take a look at this. Mice of the I can't even pronounce that, homozygous BSN something, led to spontaneous seizures and partial premature lethality. However, the relationship between BSN variants and human diseases remains unknown. There's not one shred of proof that any humans die from the BSN, only mice, and only 1 out of 2 mice, and we don't even know if that study's any good. But Kathleen Folbig, all 4 of her children died of 2 different kinds of variants in genes, neither one of them which are proven to be anything her children would have died of. Boy, that woman has like the freaking worst luck in the world. And what they're saying is that because somebody said, the 4 children dying in her care, and by the way, it was during a time with just her there. It wasn't when she had any other observers. Like the child wasn't out at daycare and the child died and she wasn't around. It wasn't at the doctor's office. It wasn't in the grocery store at the checkout counter. It wasn't even with her husband standing right next to her going, what's happening to our kid? No, she was alone each time with the children when they died. So they said it was flawed logic. Just because 4 kids die in your care, that's flawed logic. No, it isn't. Flawed logic is this ridiculous, supposed scientific, quote, evidence. There's never been scientific evidence these children died of anything related to this genetics crap. And as I say, could be possible. Well, then it's not evidence. If you're being scientific, possible is not scientific. Science is something that's proven. It's proven. That's what you like. Cause of death, for example. If you have a bullet in your brain, the cause of death is you were shot in the head. You don't say, well, there's a probability the person actually died of a heart attack. Well, no, they were shot in the head. The heart probably did stop, but they were shot in the head. Science is supposed to be, you can do experiments and go in directions. That's how we've learned so much in the world. That's how we've developed things, amazing stuff, because you do experiments and you work in directions, but you don't do an experiment and call that proof or evidence when it is not. It's just a study, and the study is not proof. And gosh knows, we all know how many studies turn out to be completely wrong. Okay, for example, I'll have you know, a new study came out that says picking your nose leads to possibly leads to Alzheimer's. That was done by a mice study too. And I just don't know how they found all those nose-picking mice. I didn't even know mice pick their noses. The dumbest thing I've ever read in my life. Oh my goodness. I suppose there was other ways to check the noses of the mice. Nose-picking mice. And it was in a scientific journal, mind you. This wasn't something on an stupid internet site. It wasn't in Reddit. This was literally in a scientific journal. I should find that one. If I do a whole show on the Folbig thing, I will add that in. Unbelievable. You think? Oh my gosh. Oh Lord. Let's see. Well, this is interesting. Charlotte says Brittany Pilkington was the mother who killed her sons in Bellefontaine. Bellefontaine. Oh, Bellefontaine. I didn't know there was another case there. Interesting. Because, I have that one case I did in Bellefontaine, Ohio, which is a double homicide of the sheriff and a woman. Because she was jealous of the attention her husband was showing the boys. She didn't kill her daughter, just the 3 sons. Interesting. There's a lot of cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy that end in the death of children, because getting pregnant gives you attention, but a lot of times after the baby's born, it's just such a lot of work that you don't want to deal with the work part of it. But if the child dies, you get a lot of attention again, a lot of sympathy, a good funeral, and then you get to be pregnant again. And so you go through this cycle of enjoying all the times when you're getting the attention without having to actually take care of that stupid baby, because that's exhausting, let's see what else you have to say here. I'm getting Alzheimer's, and we're not supposed to admit these things. Well, maybe they'll have a study where humans come in and pick their noses, and then we can, but I guess nobody wanted to answer that question. So therefore, they had to use mice, nose picking mice. It just makes me laugh. Yes. Mary Beth Tinning killed 9 of her children, and they didn't catch her till the end. And the reason they finally caught on was because her adopted son also died. And it was like, now you can't go with genetics on that one, so yeah. Well, that is true. She's probably not going to have any more kids. So that she will now be a celebrity. She'll probably get millions of dollars. And this is what the taxpayers are going to pay for. But I don't like the end run around the actual jury system. Now, mind you, I'm not entirely thrilled with the civilian jury system, which we all know, which is one of my many soapboxes. But if you're going to have it, you have to have some kind of system that goes where you go through an entire process. So whether it's a judge system where you have 3 judges or whatever, or you have a jury, you should go to court and have that presented and then have it determined. And if you're going to do an appeal system, you should actually literally have to appeal it and go back to court. You shouldn't be able to have these politicians get together with people behind the scenes and go, yeah, let's go with that. Because the media gets into it and they're all, we think she's innocent and all this stuff. And then people benefit out of releasing her, out of making her a martyr in a sense to an unjust system. And then the citizens pay through that with massive amount taxes will pay the millions of dollars she's going to get. And then she will be a celebrity, and a book will be written about her, or she'll write her own book and she'll make money off of that. And then there'll be a Netflix series. And it'll all end with her being proven innocent, they can't prove her innocent. She's been exonerated. She's not been proven guilty. But I think, if this went back to court at least, and there was an ability to then examine what these and have challenged these ridiculous scientific studies that may indicate the children could have died of something else besides the mother smothering them. Fine, you fight it out in a court of law, but don't do the end run around the justice system and just come up with some nonsense garbage like this, because it is truly it's one of the worst cases of let's come up with bogus crap that is labeled scientific. And they supposedly had like 90 scientists who signed some petition. I want to know who the hell these scientists are, and I want them to stand in front of me, me meaning everybody, and explain how these studies were done and how this relates to this case and humans and what kind of proof it really is. Is it proof? Is it evidence? Or you're just willing to say it could be and toss it out. So yeah, I'm highly disgusted. So I may do another full show on this for people who don't come to the Hangout. Just because I'm already getting people saying they never saw my second video where I explained all of this. So they're saying, well, see, it's just been proven now she's innocent. And I'm like, no, that's not quite true. But yeah, amazing stuff sometimes out there. So that will be the soapbox Benny was waiting for tonight. Okay, now let me go on to something else. What do I want to go on to? Let's see, what was next? Samantha Wool's fatal stabbing in October had sparked speculations of anti-Semitism. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, one always has to be concerned about hate crimes, just because we don't want them to happen. And in this particular case, this was a conclusion jumped to very early on. Let me find this one. And the reason she was prominent in the Jewish community, and that was one of the reasons it was, considering what was going on in Israel and Palestine. And let's not go to political stuff because it's not a political channel. But she was a synagogue leader, and body was found on the road. I mean, she had come out of her home. She had been stabbed multiple times with a straight edge cutting instrument, and she was found next to a neighbor's home, a blood trail from her home, door open. And so, what for? Why did this happen? And I didn't see any evidence that anything had been stolen. So there was a good reason to think she could have been targeted because she was a leader of a synagogue. Could have been, because people get crazy stuff in their heads and they decide they're going to make some statement, and they do so. But in this case, they've charged this. Is this the guy? Oh, sorry, Perry, wrong person. Where'd he go? Where'd my guy go? Okay, I thought I was going to get through an entire show without screwing up my pictures. Hold on. Here he is. All right, this guy is Michael Jackson Bolanos. He's 28 years old, and the prosecutors say there's not a shred of evidence that he committed a hate crime. All right, who is this guy? Of course, his lawyer says it's not him, as a lawyer will. All right, he has been charged in the killing of Detroit synagogue leader Samantha Woll, or W-O-L-L. He was charged with felony murder during a first-degree home invasion and is believed to have acted alone in the October 21st slaying. The suspect did not know her. He allegedly entered her Lafayette Park home and stabbed her to death multiple times using a straight-edge cutting instrument. Same day, he allegedly lied to detectives about stealing and attempting to steal from cars from the area of her home. So he was also breaking into cars. It's pretty significant. Then okay, I'm going to skip his lawyer saying it has nothing to do with him. He's just a victim of circumstance, so the lawyer says. I'm not saying the lawyer's wrong. I'm just saying that's what the lawyer says. Family is thankful. Let's see what else here. Well, she was discovered outside of a neighbor's apartment in the 1360 block of Joliet Place, surrounded by a pool of blood. A trail of blood led detectives back to her home. So we also had the fact that let me tell you a little bit about this guy so you can know what kind of guy he is. He previously spent 2 years on probation after being convicted of receiving and concealing a stolen motor vehicle, because he got probation. We got to stop with the probation crap. And 4 years in prison for a similar offense in 2013. Okay, so in 2013, he did a similar thing. He got 4 years. And then when he does it after he gets out, so let's say 4 years, 2013 plus 4, 2017, after he gets out of prison, he does the same thing and gets probation. Yeah. Apparently he has a lot of criminal activity in the area, larcenies. They've linked him to a few larcenies. That's why they brought him in for questioning. And let's see, anything else about him? I think that's basically it about him. He's a criminal. He's a criminal. And so there's, at this point, no evidence that it's a hate crime. Just a low life in the community, breaking into cars and into houses. And maybe he encountered her, didn't expect her to be there. Who knows how he got into her home? He could have. We don't know. I don't have any of that information. But I just want to point out this. Sometimes, we have to wait again for the police to do their work to see who the person is who committed the crime, and not make an assumption right up front. of what the crime is, what the motive of the crime is. Just give it a little bit of time, because sometimes what happens is we come up with a motive for a crime, and then people go crazy about that. More crimes are committed in the name of the motive of the crime that it wasn't ever a motive to begin with. So people need to be a little calmer and have a little patience. So let's see. So anyway, okay. So now I want to talk about this case here. Let's see, which one is it? Oh, who was the person? Oh, speaking of being around criminals, this case I found horrific, absolutely horrific case. Let me find. She's a nurse. Now, we talk about. There's a lot of people who think that they're concerned about. Again, I'm not a political channel. Police overreach and when they go to homes for domestic abuse or somebody's acting crazy, and people hate word when I use the word crazy. Okay, a person's acting unstable, shall we say, and is brandishing, and they've got a psychotic incident, and they're brandishing a knife, and the police come and end up shooting a guy. So you should send a social worker in. All right, this woman is a nurse. She was sent. She's a Connecticut nurse. She was 63 years old. Her name is Joyce Grayson. It's unbelievable. So she's a caseworker, and they already have staffing shortages. Nurses are high demand right now, mounting caseloads. Healthcare workers are increasingly worrying about the possibility of a patient becoming violent, a scenario that is too common and on the rise nationwide. She was a 63-year-old mother of 6. She was sent, get this, to a halfway house for sex offenders. What? You send a woman alone to a halfway house of sex offenders. Are you insane? And she was there to give, this is late October, she was to give medication to a man with a violent past. She didn't make it out alive. They found her body in the basement and have named her patient as the main suspect in her killing. Her death has her peers and lawmakers renewing their year-long pleas for better protection for home health care workers, including sending them out with escorts, like the police, maybe. See, now, so first you want to take away the police and send out a social worker. Now you send out a social worker, but you want the police to go with them. And actually, in all fairness, a lot of times when you have some serious situation, you do want the social workers to come. Maybe it's a child abuse case, something's going on in the home. The police have to come first to make sure they can bring the social worker in so they can protect the social worker. That's the way it's usually done. Child Protective Services, usually the police come before they do when they're coming to an unknown situation. The calls come during an era of increasing violence against medical professionals in general. I used to go to some pretty bad neighborhoods, said Tracy Woodich, a visiting nurse. She said she used to call the police and get an officer to escort her when she felt unsafe. But because of budget and staffing issues, it's no longer an option. And there's not any police available because we're getting rid of the police, right? And not sending them. It's all nurses are thinking about right now, even the hospital nurses, because they've had so many close calls. As a matter of fact, I will say this: it's amazing sometimes how I stopped working in the mental health floors of the hospitals when I was a sign language interpreter, because they didn't have proper security there. And they would leave me in a room full of people with issues, serious issues, a lot of them violent, without any security. And it can be very, very dangerous. And I was assaulted once. I was actually assaulted in a psych area, waiting area for children. I was assaulted by a 9-year-old, and he was a big sucker too. And he just came out of his room and just attacked me. And he wasn't even my patient. My patient was in the other room sleeping. This was some other kid. And he came out, big kid, and just slammed me. And then the security guard was called in, and he goes, "Oh, sorry about that." And then he goes back out in the hallway. And I said, "Oh, hell no." Because the kid came right back out to attack me again. And I'm like, why aren't you between him, the kid, and me? So You can be, so I stopped working on any of the mental health, the floors with patients with mental health conditions because it wasn't proper security. And I'm like, I'm not sitting out there. I will sit in a safe place and I will go out only with a doctor, nurses. I'll go out with somebody. But they wanted me just to sit out on the floor. So if the deaf patient just wanted to start chatting, I'd be there. I'm like, I'm not sitting out there. No, not happening. Nope, I have to have security around me of some sort. And so this is coming to light here. Grayson, who had been a nurse for over 36 years, including the last 10 as a visiting nurse, was found dead in this halfway house. She didn't return from the visit to patient Michael Reese, a convicted rapist. No charges have been filed in the killing yet. She said, Mark said, this one woman said, she was once sent to a home and didn't find out until she talked to clients that it was a residence for sex offenders. So they didn't even tell you. It's like, oh yeah, could you go check on this guy at this house? It's a halfway house. Halfway house for what? Often if a nurse asks for a chaperone, the agency will simply reassign the work to another employee who won't make waves. Her death came after 11 months after another visiting nurse, Douglas Bryant, was shot to death during a home visit in Spokane, Washington. And again, calling for safety reforms. And let's see, there's one other thing I want to say here. People getting punched in the stomach, nurses getting bitten, kicked, slapped. Yep. And I mean, sometimes there's no way to prevent these things if when you're working in hospitals in certain situations. But sending somebody out to a home with sex offenders, a woman out to that, this seems to be a little bit wrong. She seemed like a great woman. She had been a beloved foster parents, taking nearly 3 dozen children. And let me see what it said, what happened to her, though. There was something here. And then the creep. He was on probation after serving more than 14 years for stabbing and sexually assaulting a woman in 2006. He's released from prison in 2020 and sent back to detention 2 times for violating probation, but he's out again. He had some of Grayson's belongings, including credit cards, and was charged with violating probation, larceny, and using drug paraphernalia. And I forgot, there was something about a call. Oh, yeah. They haven't said how she died. Autopsy results are pending. The police chief says the killing was one of the worst cases he's seen in 27 years in law enforcement. I'm going to say, just unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. But, that's the problem with sex offenders. The concept that a person who is a rapist is curable, and he's not. A rapist is a serial rapist. And he stabbed the woman he raped, so he's close to being a serial killer if he's not one already. And then you put him in a halfway house, and if he violates things, he doesn't go back to prison for many, many years. He just gets put right back out again, even though that's who he is. And then you send an unsuspecting woman in to give him medication. How nice. Unbelievable. Where's security? I'm sorry. Where is security? You have a halfway house, in my opinion. Security ought to be at that halfway house 24 hours a day, because they ought to be checking out what these guys are doing, where they're going, who's coming in and out. And guys got drugs in there too. So what the heck? Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Just really, really super sad. Some of the way we think is crazy. That's all I can say. Crazy. Did this happen recently? This happened December 7th, let's see, 2023. This is one that it just came out, the story. It happened October of this year. So yes, yep, sent by herself. That's exactly right. I mean, it's just horrifying. I mean, a lot of times we'll take jobs. EMTs are often at risk. Anybody working ambulances, firefighters, obviously police officers. I mean, there's a level of risk you're going to have when you go into a situation where dangerous people can be at. There's no question about that. But the idea is to have reasonable protocols to protect the people that are being sent in, and to not protect them is pretty sad. Very, really, really sad. And yeah. Now I want to go to this case, which there was a recent case of a guy who put his son in a cage. But this is another one. Dustin Huff left, and I can't pronounce her name, Yuri I don't know how it's pronounced, have been charged with 2 counts of aggravated child abuse and 1 count of neglect. All right. Why? The thing is not, it's who they are that's unbelievable and how this all came down. Let me find it. All right. Their 6-year-old son, they're married, they're a couple. Their 6-year-old son said he would sometimes be kept in a cage from the time he got home from school until he left to go to school the next morning. And now this is a statement that amazes me. 2 biological scientists at the University of Florida. Now, these were not people who were drug addicts, were living in some little pitiful shed someplace, abusing children. These are scientists. 2 scientists are accused of locking their young children up, 2 of them, in makeshift cages while they worked. Because, scientists hardly make enough money to buy food. So they can't afford somebody called a babysitter, apparently, or daycare of any sort. And one of them, and I'll tell you why one of them should have stayed home. Shockingly, the couple showed police officers the special cages in their home as if it were normal. Well, clearly these 2 people have some real serious personality disorders. The pair, aged 31 and 35, wound up on the radar of the Department of Children and Families after their 6-year-old son told a school staffer he didn't want to go home because he'd be put in a cage there. Police officers then visited the family's home and discovered a large unsanded wooden enclosure made of pressure-treated 2x4s that appeared to be a makeshift cage in the boy's room. The boy said he would sometimes be kept in the cage from the time he got home from school until he left to go back to school the next morning. His parents made him wear pull-ups overnight while he was in the cage. His 2-year-old sibling was also kept in a cage, though in this case it was an overturned crib on top of a mattress. Both parents were arrested and charged with aggravated child abuse and child neglect. They didn't name the pair for the children's purposes, and the couple's been placed on administrative leave, where they've both been working at the University of Florida for several years. The 6-year-old reportedly expressed concern for his parents as he and his sibling were being removed from the home, saying to the officers, "I didn't want anyone to get in trouble. I didn't want to be in the cage." How sad is that this child doesn't want his parents to get in trouble in spite of the fact that his parents are abusing the living heck out of him. Now, let me point out one of the explanations for the situation that this child had. Let me find it. This is what I think the mother said. Let me find it. Okay, where are you? Okay, must be this one of these. Hold on a second. Let me see if this is the one. I've got 2 more open here. Okay, it wasn't that one. It must be the other one. Okay. Because I think the excuse that they give was interesting. One second. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay. The parents allegedly acknowledged locking the eldest boy in the wooden enclosure, saying he was, quote, disobedient and had ADHD. The mother reportedly said the boy was locked inside while she was working and that her husband let him out when he returned home from work. She told the police she had tried to find a child care program for the boy, but his bad behavior resulted in no one wanting to take him. What's the reason for the 2-year-old? The mother said the toddler was kept inside the overturned crib because he climbed out of it at night. Because all of us have a problem with our children being disobedient and climbing out of the crib, so we put them all in cages. Now, this woman had a couple choices. First of all, if nobody will care for her child, she gives up her job and stays home. or her husband gives up his job and stays home. I'm sure one of their jobs will pay enough for them to live in some place, and one of them can stay home. I stayed home for many, couple decades. I stayed home with my 3 kids. It can be done. Now, mind you, sometimes it's very difficult. If you're a single parent, it's impossible. But you've got 2 of them, and one of them is working, both of them working good jobs. One of them can take a leave of absence if necessary for a year or whatever is needed to take care of that child who's having issues. Or if you cannot take care of your children, perhaps you shouldn't be taking care of your children. If you have to put your children in cages. Am I back, everybody? Did I disappear on you guys? Let me know if I disappeared so I know if I have to edit this thing or not. Okay, I froze. I'm back. Am I back? Tell me if I'm back. Am I back? Yep. Okay. That was weird. So annoying. And this issue was supposed to have been fixed by Verizon. Thank you again, Verizon. I guess we're back to having issues. But anyway, now what happens to these people? Do they get to go to parenting classes? Or do they lose custody of their children forever? Which is what I would like to see. I would like to see these children never return to them. These 2 need to go to prison, stay there, and the children need to get homes. It makes no sense that they get to go back. And let me show you an example of why I am so against that. This poor girl, her name is Oakley Carlson. She was last seen alive February of 2021. Now, this girl also had horrifying parents. She had this parent, Jordan Bowers. She's at least in prison for 3 years for identity theft, and this piece of crap for her father. He's a suspect in his daughter's disappearance, too. They're such a lovely couple. Now, what happened to this poor little girl? And this one just annoys me so much because hold on, let me find it. Okay. Because of the foster care system. She had a chance to survive, this poor little girl. Let me show you a picture again. This is Oakley, cute little girl. And that was a picture taken when she was having a happy time at the foster parents' house. It was Christmas, and she was opening her presents and having a good time. She was last seen 2 years ago, allegedly spent her time locked in a cell under the stairs and abused by the mother. Washington State girl was last seen 2 years ago. The siblings said she was locked under the stairs. She was 4 years old, and she was physically abused and incarcerated in her own home. What happened here was this is the only finding of the information. She was last seen alive February 10th, 2021. Now, when she was finally reported missing by an unnamed concerned person, Bowers and the little girl's dad, Andrew Carlson, complained they lost track of her in November 2021. They lost track of their 4-year-old. It's December. They lost track of her. Around the time they reported there was a fire at their residence. So they had a fire, the child went missing, but they never looked for her, you see. The mother told one of the siblings that not to talk about her anymore, that she had gone into the woods and been eaten by wolves. Okay, though the police have said that both Bowers and Carlson are suspects in the daughter's troubling disappearance, neither have been charged with any crimes related to her vanishing or death. This is disgusting. In 2022, they were convicted. Now, this is where I just get so annoying to me. Anyway, in 2022, both parents were convicted of 2 counts of child endangerment with a controlled substance for an unrelated incident. And also the mother's behind bars for other stuff. But here's the part that I go berserk about. This soapbox time. Her disappearance was not law enforcement's first brush with the family. In the years before the little girl vanished, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families had 11 intakes regarding the family, 8 of which had been screened for allegations of domestic abuse, physical abuse, parental drug use, and medical neglect. Oakley and DC, I don't know who, I guess that's a sibling, were in foster care for over 2 years. while the parents got treatment for drug addiction and domestic violence. Now, my question is this: what, after 2 years, were the parents so proven to be healthy that they gave these kids back to them? The foster mother says this: I'm waking up every day since December 6, 2021, and thinking, today is the day that I'm going to get the call. That hole in my heart and that concern for Oakley was there the moment she left. She also blamed officials for failing to address the domestic violence in the child's home. There were 11 calls from 2013 to 2021. Which one of those was ignored that could have saved Oakley and her siblings? And let me tell you, when people are foster parents, one of the things that is the most difficult thing, and I don't know how they do it, because I was a foster parent one, and that was a horrible experience. And I had no control over what happened to my foster child after she was then found another place to live, because I wouldn't allow a 13-year-old to visit a 30-year-old man who raped her when she was 13 in prison because she was pregnant by him. Long story, and I think I've told that elsewhere. However, but there are people who take in kids. They want to give them a safe home. And after you're with that child for 2 years, from 2 years old to 4 years old, that child is your child. It's like that child has your heart. That child is yours. And then you have to give them back to horrible people. It's one thing if the people were truly healthy. For some reason, the child needed a home temporarily, and to be able to have foster children and not get your heart broken is extremely difficult. And even if they go back to a halfway decent home, it's still like that was your child, and now the child's gone. But to have that child go back to people you knew were abusive, and then have that child be abused again, you feel like you've let that child down, because you gave that child a home. The child knew happiness and safety. And then that child started depending on you. That child believed that you could protect them. And one day the government comes and snatches the child away and puts them back with the bad bio parents. And that child is then harmed. The whole thing is just so appalling to me. But that's the way things work, and it's just so terribly sad. But I think we give people way too much leeway. I think until you should never get a child back unless you absolutely 100% have enough time. You didn't go through the damn program. You had enough time after you cleaned up your life, that you had good employment, that you didn't touch drugs or alcohol again, that you went through a long period of where you were proven to be safe. But I think a lot of times these kids are just, as soon as somebody goes through a program, they just chuck them right back in. And it's just, and we all know that going through a program doesn't usually change how people are. It can, but oftentimes they have to go through the program 5, 6, 10 times before they get healthy, if they ever do. And it's just sad. Yeah. Seriously. Watched a girl snatch 15 times, return 15 times. That's unbelievable. How many chances should you get? And I know they always try to reunite for the biological family, but how many chances do you really need? I mean, in my opinion, not that anywhere near that many. Because if you really love that child and want to take care of that child, you do what you got to do. And if you aren't willing to do what you got to do, you don't deserve that kid back, and that child deserves a safe home. That's, Yeah. So those are two wonderful people. And I wonder about the ones in the scientists. Will they go through, get charges, and then they'll get the charges dropped, and then they'll go to some kind of program. Then these kids will be in foster care for 2 years, and then they'll give them back to the people who put them in cages. Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Is there a shortage of adults willing to adopt? Well, the question, first of all, they have to be released to be adopted. That's the first problem, because as long as they think there's a chance that the families can be reunited, the children sit in foster care until that can happen. And then the next problem comes down to is, are people willing to adopt an older child? And when a lot of older children come out of very bad homes, they're not easy kids, okay? They can be highly emotionally disturbed. Some of them have attachment disorder. Some of them are psychopathic. So it's hard to find people at a certain point to take in children who've been in and out of the foster care system God knows how many times. It's a mess. It's a mess. That's all I can say. It's a mess. And speaking of that, this was an interesting question. This is just a Dear Abby that bugged me. So I'll do something different for a second here. So, the new Dear Abby, that's the daughter of the original. She always pisses me off. Dear Abby, my son is dying. Is it time I told her son her shocking secret. All right. Dear Abby, 40 years ago, a neighborhood boy fathered a child with a neighborhood girl. Billy was 17 at the time and Becky was 14 or 15. Both were friends of mine. They were not a steady couple. She liked him, but I feel he used her. I heard that she married an older gentleman who accepted the baby, Matt, as his own. 10 years ago, I found Matt on Facebook. I told him I knew his mother and he shared her contact information with me. When I called Becky, we enjoyed talking about old times and I let her know that Billy had passed away. Billy was, hold on a second. Okay, so Billy was the bio father of the boy Matt, okay? But we're talking 40 years ago. So Matt is now a grown person, 40 years old, and his bio dad that he never knew died at 60. She informed me that her husband had also passed away. So Matt, the 40-year-old now, his dad had passed away. I was surprised when she told me she never told Matt who his biological father was. He was raised believing his biological father was Becky's husband. I have photographs of Billy, and Matt has an aunt he is unaware of. As tempted as I am to inform him who his father is, I know that's not the right thing to do. We don't communicate regularly, but we're friends on Facebook. I believe she's having health issues now. Abby, if she passes away, do you think I should let Matt know who his father was? Let me stop you right here. His father was the guy who raised him. The guy who raised him for all those years, who accepted that baby and raised him. That's his dad. Okay. If Becky's wouldn't she want her son? Would she want her son to think he was all alone in the world? Hold on a second. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. All right. Okay. Let's see. Should I tell him? Okay. This is what Abby says. If Becky's health problems are life-threatening, she's the person you should consider approaching. Well, yes, definitely. She wants to tell her son, she'll tell her son. I don't think it's any of this friend's business, personally. The question you should pose is this. Would she want her son to think he's all alone in the world after she's gone? Why would her son be all alone in the world? I mean, he's got relatives. He's not alone in the world. His bio dad is dead. Is the dad who raised him is dead, and his mom may be dying. But doesn't he have aunts and uncles that he knows from growing up? Doesn't he have cousins? I don't know if he's got any brothers and sisters. Why would he be alone in the world if he doesn't find out about his bio family that he's never met, has nothing to do with? I mean, he's not alone in the world. You have all the relatives that you grew up with. My son, one of my sons is adopted. He's not alone in the world. He's got a brother, a sister, a mom, a dad. He's got his grandfather. He used to have. Well, his grandfather has. So we got which one I'm trying to figure out. Both of his grandfathers have now died, and both of his grandmothers have now died. But he did have them growing up. He's got tons of cousins. He's got a niece. He's got tons of people in the world. He's not alone in the world, Abby, just because he's adopted. He's got all the people he's grown up with. Blood doesn't make family. Family makes family. Abby. Now, if he finds out if the mother wants to tell him for some reason about that, and I know people go on about the genetic crap, he needs to know his genes. So what diseases are in the family? Heck, I don't even know what diseases were in my family. My parents didn't tell me anything. People didn't used to talk about that crap. I don't have any clue. You don't have to go find, you don't have to find everybody in the world. Live your life. Live your life. Don't try to get a different life. It's just, I know there's a lot of discussions on that. A lot of people who have been adopted want to find out their biological family. They get curious and all that stuff. Some people do. My son actually does know where he can find a biological family, but he has not chosen to do so. But the kid has a family, and he isn't alone in the world, Abby. And it's none of your damn business to interfere with your friend's family's life. You know nothing. It's just, what horrible advice. Oh, Lord. Abby's a bit of a dramatic. I tell you. Blood is not thicker than water. I choose water. I mean, it's always, it's so funny because it's always going to be an issue, because once you can find out things, people want to find out things. I always find the DNA thing weird. It's like, then I found out I was connected to all these people in the past. I'm like, you're really just here now. Quite frankly, your whole family history really isn't who you are. Sorry to tell you that. It just really isn't. Some people believe in reincarnation, in which case we were connected to a whole bunch of other people in the past from a whole bunch of other lines, but it's just, I just find it interesting where somebody thinks they need to interfere with somebody else's life and make decisions for that family. You don't. Maybe she's got reasons she didn't tell him, maybe because she didn't want that child to not grow up to have that dad all his life. And remember, we didn't used to have so much DNA crap going on. People used to just have to accept, because they wouldn't know unless you look completely different. But now we have DNA to screw up everything so that everybody can, sometimes I just hate all the DNA stuff. I like it for crimes. I'm not so thrilled about all the biological issues. Oh, that's very true, Bluebell. Some people never get over their biological roots. My aunt looked for her bio dad and was really upset when he didn't acknowledge her. Yeah, and unfortunately, your bio family can be nice people, and your bio family can be absolute crap. So, sometimes you don't want, those aren't people you want to hang with. Sometimes it's maybe better not, and sometimes we're in biological families we don't like either. You know what I'm saying? People who know who their biological parents are because they lived with them all their lives may not like their own biological parents and wish they had been adopted. And some kids who are adopted wish they weren't adopted. Everybody's got their own thing, but keep out of other people's business. Yeah, that's true. Family secrets. It helps not to have any. I mean, personally. I personally agree, generally speaking, that if we behave ourselves and we don't, slither around and do things we shouldn't do, we're not like passing off children that aren't the person that thinks they're their children. We don't need DNA tests. And if we adopt a child, personally, I believe in speaking clearly about that. My son knows he was adopted. It's not a big deal. It's just like, who was 5 years old when he was adopted. I couldn't lie about it. So, but my kids are my kids. I have 3 of them. I don't care where they came out of. The mom, right here. I'm the mom. Wait a minute, I got to read this. Sarah says, you can pick your nose, you can pick your friend's nose, but you cannot pick your family. That's the line of the day, Sarah. I love it. That's very good. That's true. You can't pick your family. And, poor babies, really, that's a roll of the dice for all of us coming into the world. We never know where we're going to be born, to whom we're going to be born, and what country we're going to be born under, whether we're wealthy or we're poor. We just kind of show up, and then we deal with things, and it's not always an easy ride, and that some people have a harder ride than others. And I feel sorry for these kids in these 2 horrible families. Just so sad, so sad. Who is this? Oh, Lydia Abrams. I was asked to talk about her. Ah, you know, sometimes people just don't. They have information and they ignore it, and then they suffer tremendously from it. And she's just Lydia Abrams disappeared, um, and she's presumed dead, of course. But check out the story on this one. She is 65 years old. She was last seen in Mountain Center, California, on June 6, 2020. She disappeared from her ranch after having lunch with her fiance. And how many times when with the last person they're with, especially when they're at home, do you get suspicious, right? All right. She had married a different guy named Cullen Abrams, a wealthy real estate developer, and she had 2 children with him. In 2018, from 2018 when he passed away to when she went missing, we're just talking 2 years here. In 2018, he passed away after a long-term illness and nominated the couple's 2 adult children as executors and trustees of his estate. Okay, so the 2 kids were Chrisara and Clinton. All right, that were trustees of his estate. This is in 2018. Now, Lydia inherited some of her husband's properties as well as a marital trust established in 2016, nominating her daughter as trustee and leaving her children to be the beneficiaries in the event of her death. Okay, so her daughter's a trustee of that one, and her children were going to be the beneficiaries. However, soon she was involved in a court battle over her late husband's estate and attempt to invalidate her prenuptial agreement governing their income remaining separate. I don't know who. I guess that was. I don't know who was charged of other stuff there. There was $6.7 million, and that gets a little confusing. It's poorly written, so I can't read it. All right. So then in 2020, on May 22, she amended her trust and instead named Keith Harper. So her daughter was supposed to be the trustee. Now, maybe the whole thing about the prenup all happened somewhere. I have no idea. But anyway, she named Keith Harper, the manager of her ranch, as the trustee, also along with Diana Fetter, a neighbor and friend. They're going to be trustees in case of an event of her death. Now, get this. Who the heck is this guy, right? Okay, so she's living on the ranch, and hold on a second, let me roll this up. All right. She was last seen on the ranch, and she was captured on a doorbell cam that morning delivering cinnamon rolls to a neighbor who needed medical treatment. I was undergoing medical treatment. According to Keith Harper, the ranch's manager, and I keep Keith Harper's name in mind, the 2 had lunch around 2:30 p.m. before he left to do some work around the property, which means he has no alibi, right? While Abrams allegedly went to tend to her horses at another property. At 7:30, he returns home to the ranch. Okay, he was busy mowing the meadow, yes, or something else. Maybe the next door neighbor, Harper. That's my guess, and you'll see why. Lydia Abrams has never been heard from again. She left behind her purse, cellular phone, keys, and her vehicle, which are all at the house. When everybody leaves all kinds of stuff at the house and vanishes, usually the other person in the house vanished them. Okay, so now she's vanished, not driving away. No, geez, if you're going to kill somebody, make sure their vehicle and all their stuff leaves with them. So anyway, on June 7th, 2020, okay, what time when she disappeared? She disappeared was June 6th, right? So he files a missing persons report at the sheriff's office when she did not come home. All right. The next day on June 8th, he leaves California in his recreational vehicle just before they arrive to do a search of the property. He goes to New Mexico, allegedly for business, and he doesn't come back for a week. So he's so concerned about her, he just disappears for a week. And getting rid of stuff, I'm going to say. All right. They impounded his recreational vehicle in New Mexico and removed a section of the front driver's seat as evidence. They searched the ranch and found a tan bedsheet, a Band-Aid, and toilet paper, all stained with possible blood. 2 spent bullet casings, 2 handwritten letters, and a Netgear router were also seized. All right. Then, let's see what else happened here. All right. They haven't made arrest yet. All right. Now, who is Keith Harper? All right. This is a guy, her husband dies, 2 years? 2 years later, she's with this guy and has turned over her ranch to him. 74-year-old Keith Harper, a retired parole agent for the Utah Department of Corrections, was the manager of the farm, of the ranch. He was involved in a relationship with her after the two had met online in 2016. Oh, wait, she wasn't divorced. She had been estranged from her husband for years. Oh, okay. He was just... All right. They didn't say that earlier. Okay, she's not with her husband, although she didn't bother to divorce him. So anyway, estranged. And Harper subsequently moved in with her at the ranch before they got engaged in 2019. Then they say that back in 2002, however, Harper pleaded guilty to third-degree misdemeanor assault in connection with allegations made by his second wife. Felony charges of sexual assault and kidnapping were dropped due to lack of evidence. In 2011, he was found guilty of 3 misdemeanor charges of unlawful sexual contact for groping 2 women in a snowmobile tour at his former business in Colorado. He was ordered to register as a sex offender in 2012. I think these are some reasons you don't hook up with the dude, which she found online. All right. So then he continued to manage and live on the farm as a trustee under the terms of the agreement that was signed by Lydia before she disappeared. Diane Fetter, remember the next door neighbor that was also a trustee? Diane Fetter and Keith Harper took over the trust and began co-managing the ranch. According to the children, they've been in a romantic relationship before their mother disappeared. So the children have filed a petition to remove Diana Fetter and Keith Harper as trustees, requesting instead a neutral party, which is reasonable. An agreement was reached that allowed Harper to continue managing the ranch until they sold it. And Harper's going to get 50% of the money, and Abram's 2 children will each get 25%. So he is theoretically the one who offed this woman, cheating on her with the neighbor, the other trustee, and he's going to get 50%. Pretty good deal, I must say. Okay. Then in 2021, which is a year later, 46-year-old Jody Newkirk, a horse handler, is found dead on the same ranch, supposedly rolled over in a ATV, and Harper was there performing CPR on her, but they didn't find any evidence that anything had rolled over on her. But she's supposed to be a meth head, but they said she had an awful lot of meth in her that seemed rather abnormal for a lifelong addict. So Lydia's presumed dead for sure. And this guy got 50% of her estate. Just, people's past do matter. Lydia, I'm guessing she was lonely, as many of us are. If you're, I'm not lonely. I understand the concept. You're not in a relationship. You don't have companionship on a daily basis. And here comes this person. And you think you can have that. Yet you're going to ignore the fact that he's got assault charges against him and sex charges against him. And he's a sex offender. That may need, if you're going to hook up with him, at least don't make him a trustee of your darn money. What did he push her into that? But people's past matter. And also it's very important. I point this out a lot of times when people hook up with anybody. If they've had issues, just like those parents getting kids back, if somebody has issues, make sure that they've cleared those issues up. Don't hook up with somebody who's still in AA. If you're in AA and you've been clean for 10 years, that's different, clean and sober. I'm talking about the person just went to AA for the first time or for the 10th time, and they've been there for like a month, and you hook up with them. They're not ready to be with anybody. If they have drug issues, same thing. If they have drug issues, they're not ready to be with somebody. If they're coming out of prison, they're not ready to be with somebody. They shouldn't be with anybody till they clean up their lives, clean up their addictions, clean up their criminal history, gotten into a stable life for enough time, 2 or 3 years before they start dating. That's my personal opinion. And if you meet somebody, make sure that they've had that kind of life for at least a few years before you hook up with them, because they will take you down with them. And Lydia picked a bad one. She sure did. Oof. Yeah, he got rewarded for what he's done. It's like, there's not proof that he killed her, but I don't think they have another suspect. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I'm good on my own, and you should be. There's nothing wrong with being in a great relationship, but there's also nothing wrong with being on your own. If you don't have that great relationship with somebody else, you can have a great relationship with yourself. Um, so, yeah, oh, that's true. They're con artists who read the room well. This is very true. Usually, these people are good at finding somebody who's needy enough to overlook whatever they have on the history, and they're often good at lying about it. And of course, saying it wasn't true. She was a vindictive woman, blah blah blah, and therefore, you know, um, Molly just showed up. Hi, Molly, arriving late. Hey, there's no requirements here. No requirements. Let's see what else I want to talk about. I had one other thing I was going to talk about. What was that? Oh, that's that. Yeah, somebody asked me to talk about this one. I think this will be my last one for tonight. So I want to talk about him because a specific thing I want to talk about him. This is Cullen Davis, the guy, that's Cullen Davis right there. And that's Cullen Davis with his wife, Priscilla. That was I think that's his first wife. And this is his second wife, Karen Master, and that'll play into things. But take a look at this guy again. Okay, so who is this guy? This is a case where a guy got charged with, he was found innocent, but he was charged with this incredible crime of let me read it to you. But I want to point out how he got off, in my opinion. He had the Jose bias of Texas at the time. That's what I think. One day I might do a whole full show on this, but Thomas Cullen, was an American former oil tycoon. He was acquitted of murder and attempted murder in 2 high-profile trials in the 1970s. All right. He's believed to be the wealthiest man to have stood trial for murder in the U.S. I think that's fascinating. All right. So essentially, he had a contentious divorce from a second wife. So Priscilla, actually, that was his second wife. All right. She was a very much a society lady. They had a crap load of money. They had a massive mansion and all that stuff. And there was a contentious divorce. And at the day that that there was an attack on Priscilla and her daughter, the judge had basically upped a whole bunch of money that he was going to have to give her. That's just coincidental, I'm sure, but that happened, and then this happened. What happened? He was accused of murdering his stepdaughter, and he was found not guilty. Second trial years later involved allegations he attempted to hire a hitman to kill both Priscilla and the judge overseeing the divorce. Again, he was acquitted. Now, here's the story of what happened. So they were separated in 1974 and began dating other people openly. Judge granted Priscilla the right to live in the fancy, massive mansion, and further authorized substantial spousal and child support payments. Now, mind you, the guy was rich as crap. Sometimes people say, well, he could afford to give her that, so he wouldn't have killed anybody over that because he was so freaking rich. Why would he do such a thing? Because he wouldn't even miss the money. It's not about that. It's about she doesn't deserve it. She's taking stuff from me. It's my money. She's taking it. She doesn't deserve it. That's usually the way the thinking goes. All right. So meanwhile, she had a live-in boyfriend. His name was Stan Farr, a former basketball star at Texan Christian University. 1976, on August 2nd, an intruder entered Stonegate Mansion and killed 12-year-old Andrea Wilborn, who was at home alone after returning from a Bible study. The body of Andrea would later be found in the basement, apparently shot execution style. When Childers, that's Priscilla, when Priscilla and her then boyfriend, Stan Farr, returned home, both were shot. Now, one of the things I couldn't quite figure out is what was the time lapse between the 12-year-old returning home from the Bible study and those two, the mom showing up with a boyfriend. For some reason, I haven't found that yet. If I were doing a full show on this, I will look into that. They returned home. Both were shot upon returning home. Priscilla staggered from the house, being pursued by the killer as family friends Beverly Bass and Gus Gavril, they drove up to the mansion. So imagine this. The stepdaughter's already been shot in the basement. Priscilla comes home with her boyfriend because he was living with her at that place. He shoots both of them. Farr is killed. The boyfriend's killed. Priscilla's running and screaming. Meanwhile, two people show up coming to visit. And when they show up, he shoots at them. The killer shoots Gavril, paralyzing the man for life. Now, Priscilla identified her ex, or I don't know, they were separated. I don't know if they were divorced yet, to the police, saying he had shot her and Farr, wearing no disguise but a wig. Okay, so, and supposedly she was screaming, that to people that he was him, right? Gavril said he was shot after his girlfriend at the time, they got married eventually, recognized the gunman. She was saying, "Don't shoot me, you know who I am. I'm her friend," because she recognized who he was and called him by name. Both of them called him by name. Police arrested Davis that same night at the home he shared with Karen Master, his then girlfriend. This is the one he eventually married. And she became his third wife. So at the trial, his wealth was estimated at over $100 million. Okay. All right. Davis was only tried for the murder of Andrea. That's the girl. He was defended by famous Texas defense attorney Richard Racehorse Haynes. Prosecution case relied almost entirely on eyewitness testimony. See, here's one of the problems when you don't have the gun and you don't have DNA. You cannot prove physically who committed the crime, and there were no cameras either. So it was witness statements, all right? And so what happened was the defense attorney, who was a Jose Baez of his day, trashed Priscilla, calling her basically a big slut, and also her boyfriend being hooked up with drug dealers, criminals, and sleazy sex. And what he said was that Priscilla had a heavy use of painkillers that made her an unreliable witness who might have been confused about the identity of her attacker. But her dad, she saw his face. And it's like, that's my husband. They agreed that what he did was he put her on the stand and he just basically made her seem like a complete horrible person. And then she said, the defense attorney said that she and her friend, the one who showed up and recognized him and said, "Don't shoot me," because don't shoot me, and used his name, that they colluded coming up with this plan to blame her husband, even though they knew it was some drug dealers or something. So apparently, though, they didn't even have time to get their stories together because they hadn't even heard each other. Okay, so they both gave the same story separately without having any chance to put it together. I think his girlfriend at the time claimed that he was sleeping at her house, and the alibi, the girlfriend alibi, he never left my bed type of alibi, or I was with him. But anyway, then what happened was, so they found him not guilty, and then there was this thing where he was trying to hire somebody. That's what the prosecution said, to kill Priscilla and the judge. This was later, and he claimed that he thought it was a big, huge setup, and he was just playing along with it. I mean, what? He said this. He was taped actually saying he wanted them killed, but he supposedly gave cash to this guy, and his fingerprints weren't on it. Again, no physical evidence, but a tape of him saying that. Unlike the first trial, he testified in his own defense. He stated he had not solicited McCrory, the killer, not solicited McCrory's offer to kill Priscilla and the judge, and claimed it was a plot orchestrated by her. Again, Priscilla's doing these things to frame him. He merely played along with the plot in an attempt to eventually convince McCrory to admit that Priscilla was to blame for the entire scheme. And he got off again. All right. And then he went on to he started going to church, and now he's and he's lost a lot of his money, and now he and this wife apparently are the wonderful churchgoers and haven't committed any crimes, and all they care about is being good people, and hooked up with this particular some evangelist, and he married her, adopted her two sons, lost most of his money. They sold their home. He continues to live in Fort Worth area. She died. And he has become later in life, in 2016, a born-again Christian, and at one point worked with televangelist James Robison. And there's a really good story written, the guy who met him at that point and listened to what he had to say about his changed life and that he's blah, blah, blah. But he didn't have to confess to God and ask for forgiveness because he didn't commit those crimes. So the question here is this. This is why I call him the Jose Baez, that defense attorney, the Jose Baez of the 1970s in Texas. Well, because what he did was manage to trash the victim and also suggest an alternative scenario that the jury fell for. The alternative scenario would be that for whatever freaky reasons, somebody decided to go there that day and kill them all because of supposedly some drug issue. Killed the 12-year-old and then hung around until the next two came, and then shot at the other ones, all because of some drug issue, which no one has proven is in existence, that there was actually a problem. Now, mind you, Priscilla had a crap load of money. I'm pretty sure they paid off their drug dealers if there were ever any. Why would they be? Who would be pissed off at them? They would pay their debts. They got money. So it's like none of it makes any sense. The whole scenario that you had two women who separately said it was the same guy. He's the one that is most likely to have done it. And there's no good reason to believe some drug dealer showed up to kill them. It's a ludicrous story, but it worked. So there you go. So as I said, with the Shanna case that's coming up, Jose Baez is now going to, he's on Shanna's team. God knows what she's going to come up with. Oh, he's going to come up with for her some story. And all you need is somebody on the jury to say, could be. Interesting case. I might have to do a full thing on it one day. Money talks. Well, it does when you can buy the right person. Hire the right defense attorney. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. That was for you, Sarah. You can put a weirdo or an eccentric on the stand and just point and blame. You can always make somebody look bad. You can. All you have to do is, well, of course, you don't even have to tell the truth. You can make up stuff. There is no, you think that defense attorneys can't make up stuff, or prosecutors. They shouldn't be able to make up stuff. But apparently that is not against the law to do so. I don't understand how that happens. You can make up a story that you have no basis in evidence, and that's considered acceptable in a court of law. It blows me away. Might be money well spent. Yeah. If you're going to hire a lawyer, you're going to hire a lawyer you think can get you off. And if it's between a prison sentence or a life prison sentence and spending money, you're going to spend money. Absolutely. He killed a 12-year-old, can't be a good person. Well, if he killed her, whoever it is, obviously is a psychopath. Okay, that's just a given. To kill a 12-year-old child, and then you could say, okay, I can understand why I wanted to kill off the wife, but he also shot the boyfriend. It's not the boyfriend's fault. He also shot this other poor fellow who was just showing up. So whoever did it, that's a psychopath. And a lot of people said he was a creepy dude back in the day when he was younger. A lot of people didn't like this guy, but he was so freaking wealthy. And, once you got that much money, you can get a lot of people to hang out with you and marry you. So that guy got 3 wives because he's got $100 million at the time in the 70s. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But that whole story about the hit, that his wife was behind making this up, and he just went along with it and to try to catch her. It's amazing. He got off of 2 things, which pretty much I would say looks pretty guilty, but he was found innocent, not guilty twice. Oh, why was he wearing a wig if they knew him? I'm going to say, so he didn't expect them to live, first of all. Okay. I would say if it was him, he wasn't expecting, I would say the other couple to show up. I think he was perfectly happy to kill the kid and Priscilla and the boyfriend, and then take off. I would say going and coming from the place, in case anybody saw him coming out, he would be looking like somebody else from a distance, and therefore he wouldn't be recognized as being him. But the problem was, apparently Priscilla lived, so she could say who it was, and the other woman lived. So he actually didn't get shot. I don't know what happened at that point, why he didn't shoot her, whether he just ran out of time, didn't think she'd recognize him. I don't know. But both of them said it was him. So they were face to face. So, but from a distance, I don't think that could have been a good disguise. Just so if somebody said, "Oh, who did you see going into that house? Who did you see driving or walking up or whatever?" They'd say, "I saw a person that looked like this," and it wouldn't be him. So that's a simple disguise for just I would say distance, not for survivors. Who obviously doesn't work that way. Waste of a good wig. Yeah, I don't know. There's, if I were looking into this more, there'd be a massive amount of details, but I was mostly interested in how he got off, because I can't come up with another reason that I can't come up with, unlike that lawyer, I can't come up with good suspects to say that's why they were killed. You could say a home invasion, but that wasn't what he said. So I have to read up some more on this. There's a lot of stuff on this case, and so I may do a whole show, in which case I can find out exactly what color the wig was. And I think it was even supposed to be like a woman's wig. I'm not sure exactly when the time frame between the girl getting killed and the other two being shot at. Because I'd like to know that time frame. Because did somebody wait around a long time? Because if you do kill one person, there's no reason to wait around unless you really want the other two. I'd like to know a lot more. And I think there's some books and stuff out, but I was asked to take a look at it, and I thought the lawyer thing was interesting. Jill, don't understand why you never hear about discipline hearings against attorneys who violate rules of the profession. I'm thinking the profession has very lax rules. It's amazing. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of sleazy attorneys out there, and a lot of stuff going on in the courtroom, which is just appalling. There's reasons for all those attorney jokes, you know what I mean? And of course, I will say this, some of you out there are attorneys, and you're going to say, but I'm not one of those. There are good attorneys, obviously, and my nephew is one of them. So there are good attorneys out there who do good work, and attorneys are necessary. It's not like attorneys aren't needed. So yes, but the problem is when there's that kind of conduct, which something should be done about it, especially in the defense world. It seems like they're allowed to do literally anything to get their client off. And I find that quite appalling. So, but I would think, in my opinion, again, if we got rid of the jury system, a civilian jury system, not the jury system, the civilian jury system, we had professional jurors, we'd eliminate a lot of that, because professional jurors would not it wouldn't serve a purpose in front of them as it does in front of a civilian jury, who they're playing to an audience. They put on a dog and pony show, and they're looking for the one juror who's just going to be, okay, sounds like reasonable, and he goes for it. Bluebell says, I read 2 years ago that there were too many lawyers in the USA to the point that new graduates are having a tough time finding work. And that may well be. I think there's also been ways to get around having to use lawyers for everything. So that's also an issue. So yeah, could be. That was money and racehorse. Hi, Clarissa. Money and racehorse got him off. Yeah, those two go together. There's a film. I think there is a movie out. I'm going to have to check that out myself. Because it sounds, it's a heck of a case. It's a historical case. It's just, so much there that's fascinating. But I haven't had a chance to get into that. Okay, I think I'm going to end with that. Yeah, I think that's good for today. I think I'll end with that. So I may say tomorrow, when I don't feel like so ill from somehow consuming an entire bag of the stupid tortilla chips. I might do a whole thing on Kathleen Folbig again. I have to decide if I'm going to, but a lot of people won't see this. A lot of people don't come to, when it goes out on YouTube, a lot of people don't come see the Hangout stuff because that's a lot of patrons come to the Hangout. And yes, other people do too. Sometimes there's 2,000 views on it or 3,000, but it's not focused on necessarily one thing. So if I want to get more information out again about Kathleen Folbig, because I'm just concerned about this end run around what I consider a trial system is happening everywhere now. And I don't know how this is becoming an acceptable practice. We've seen it with quite a few cases. Where charges are just dropped, person's just exonerated, and there are claims made but never proven. Claims that, this is why we're dropping these things, and then but nobody ever questions it. There's no argument in response, and so the victims of these crimes have to be concerned that the babies, the babies can't, those poor little babies, they were victims and they don't get it. They don't get their day in court again. And the husband is dead too. So basically she walks, if it were proven, it would be one thing. If somebody's innocently found, convicted, I don't want them to be there either. I mean, God knows I wouldn't want to be innocently convicted of something, especially losing a child and being convicted of killing your own children. I can't imagine if, one of my 3 children, if they died of some natural cause and I didn't do anything and they put me in prison the rest of my life. Of course, I mean, my life would suck big time. I'd have to suffer the emotional loss of my children and then get accused of killing them and then spend my life in prison. Yeah, I'd be pissed. And I'd want to be exonerated, and I'd want to sue the living crap out of the government and the citizens and get that and just get a huge amount of money, even though that's never going to make up for losing my children or being persecuted, not prosecuted, but persecuted by the system. But at least I get to be, at that point I can live a good life with a reasonable amount of money. I don't have to struggle anymore, and I'm going to get to go to a lot of parties. So if I were innocent, yes, I would want to be exonerated for sure. But as when I'm looking at the system for how the system works, I'm not okay with exoneration done the way it was done in the Kathleen Folbig case. So yeah, I may have to do a whole separate video on that. And if you see the separate video, just ignore it because you're here at the Hangout, so you don't need to see it. I might add some things, but mostly I'd be talking about what I talked about tonight. But so I may do that tomorrow. So anyway, I will see you probably Sunday for the show that I haven't figured out which one I'm doing yet. But for the case show. And again, if you're new to the channel and like to be in the chat room and for all the shows, please do click the link below and join Patreon. And even if you don't want to be in the chat room, but you want to support the channel, you can do that too. And do subscribe. That makes a big difference. So that's it for tonight, guys. I'm going to go drink some, maybe tea. Maybe I'll do tea. Settle my tummy and not eat another bag of stupid potato chips. I'm a popcorn. Hey, can I, John? Don't know. She's going to make popcorn. Hi, Sky Ricky, for Molly, popcorn and bring drinks. Oh, this sounds good. Lord. You'll watch the replay with Molly because you're both late. Okay. You can go hang out together, even though you're in different. I forgot where Molly is. Molly, where are you at? Do I know the case of Charlie Smith in Ontario? I do not. I'll do what I sometimes do because it's the easiest way to do it. I take a picture of the screen and that way I can check that one out. So most welcome. And I think you were on the side of she shouldn't have gotten out of prison, if I correctly remember. And a lot of, there are people out there going to be very upset with my determination in that case because I don't know, especially when people say, oh, but science has proved it, even though it didn't. Anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I will see some of you on Sunday. Bye-bye.